What's cooking, everybody? Welcome back to the O Show podcast. It's episode 494 of the show. We are presented by Mayweather Boxing and Fitness in Scottsdale, Arizona. Mayweather Boxing and Fitness is a highly intense workout developed by the man right there you see on the screen, ladies and gentlemen, Floyd Money Mayweather himself. Head on down to Mayweather Boxing and Fitness. Sign up for that membership today. We're also presented by betonline.ag. Sign up for that 50% bonus by using the promo code capital BLEAV50. Again, that's capital BLEAV50 for that 50% bonus. We're also presented by Eat Clean Phoenix, Arizona's #1 meal delivery prep service. You call the number right there, 602-573-7643 to order Tuesday through Sunday. That is Eat Clean Phoenix, episode 494 today with a very special guest, Mike Spangenberg from State 48. Man, how are you doing?
Great, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm glad we finally got to do this. I think I reached out like last June to talk about something, then reached back out in like November. Yeah. We're going to do it in December, January, February. Here we are, March 2nd.
Yeah, you've been the man for being patient and allowing me to reschedule. But it's awesome to be here.
You have to, because you're killing it.
Thanks,
you guys
man.
are killing it with State 48. You guys are growing every single day.
Still have a lot of work to do, but I appreciate that. It's always great to hear.
So when did you've always been an Arizona native?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Arizona, Chandler, East Valley boy. My family's from New York, but came out here to go to
really? We're in New York.
Long Island?
I'm from Jersey, right outside Manhattan, Fort Lee.
Awesome. Yeah, my dad came out here to go to ASU and been a Honeywell ever since. But yeah, I've just growing up here, it used to just upset me that nothing out here was representing Arizona in a positive and fashionable way. So created State 48, and here we are today.
How young were you when Jerry Colangelo kind of came in and fixed everything? Was that after?
I'm terrible with dates and years, but definitely was here during Colangelo time, and kind of he was like the godfather and kind of like helped the Suns get on track. But I couldn't tell you what years those were.
You've got way too many things on your mind, man.
I do, and I have a terrible memory. Terrible memory.
So let's run this down. You guys started it in 2013, right? And now You're at a point in 2022 where you're opening up a second warehouse.
We're actually opening a third retail location.
Oh, excuse me.
No, you're fine. Yeah, no, we have a Chandler retail location, downtown Phoenix at the Churchill, and then we'll be opening in downtown Gilbert probably around May.
And you worked with over 400 different organizations last year alone.
Yes, sir.
You're doing all of these different, you have the State 48 Foundation, which I saw over the course of the fall doing those events. How was that? That seemed very interesting and insightful. Shout
out to anyone who works in the nonprofit world, because we quickly realize how much hard work it is. But I mean, that's ultimately our goal with State 48, the organization, is just to represent Arizona in a positive and fashionable way. And we always want to be known for selling more than just T-shirts and hats. So over a year and a half ago, we launched a foundation that supports aspiring entrepreneurs in Arizona. So just a natural fit of, hey, this is how we got started. How do we support others to make Arizona even better?
Right, because you went through those early struggles like anybody else would in the entrepreneurial mindset in the entrepreneurial world, right? There was probably a ton of things. You had a full-time job on top of trying to start your own brand.
Yep.
How long before you actually were able to just do State 48?
Yeah, for me, it took 3 years working full-time. I spent 15 years in the hotel industry, so I started cleaning dishes when I was 15 years old and worked my way up to become a GM with Hilton. And during that time, working on State 48, I had two other business partners at the time. They were able to, we staggered it, we were smart. Stefan went full-time first, Nick went full-time second, and I was last, right? And then we just realized the more we put into ourselves and into our team members, the more the business grew.
What did you get a degree in?
I never finished college. No, I went to school for hotel restaurant management.
Right.
So like I was on that path, and I just always wanted to work and was quickly moving up in the hotel industry and realized, hey, school is just not my thing right now, and never went back.
There's like half of the people out there listening right now that are like, amen, man.
Yeah.
Like, or as a successful business owner now, do you see that as like you don't need to get a degree in order to succeed?
I think it depends on the industry, right? For me, there's still plenty of things. I'm not the smartest dude in the world, right? No. But like I had a business background, learning the real world of the hotel industry, and like I know how to treat people and I care about customer service. So there's those soft skills that like will take you a long way, but I guess it just varies on the field you're in. But I think education is still very important. There's just other ways, more ways to do it.
Like off the top of my head, it's like doctor, lawyer, like anything in that realm. Like, you need an education.
Yeah, and if I wasn't doing my own thing, maybe I would be limited in my career or something. But so I guess everyone just has kind of their own, path, right?
When did the idea spark for the
So
apparel company?
I would probably say before, because 2013, we're actually celebrating 9 years this month. So really proud of that. But, it started really before 2013 when we officially had our trademark, because we were the first State 48 company in Arizona. Now there's like 70 plus organizations that legal we have to
Really?
deal with and all that. Yeah, it's nuts. And but anyway, like it was the idea started as a kid. I always loved clothes, loved Arizona. I was writing down names in a notebook for probably a year plus of like a brand name that made sense. My partner at the time, we were living together. He comes out brushing his teeth. He says State 48. I was like, what the heck, State 48? I'm born and raised in Arizona. He was like, Arizona's 48 state. It was like the aha moment, right? So then just went for it. So really the process probably started 2010, 2011, just kind of getting the ideas going and just like kind of figuring stuff out. Brought his brother on, who's my partner now, self-taught graphic designer, and created the main logo you see today. And here we are.
How many different logo changes did you guys have, or was it close to what this was?
Yeah,
from the
so it's
start?
funny. Like we always try to on social bring up the history and reflect on the days where we sucked and didn't know what the heck we were doing, and still part of that today. But really, there was only a couple different versions. I think we had 4 original concepts, and it's always still had to do with the name State 48, but inside Arizona, the shape of Arizona, right? The outline. So it wasn't that different, but that was just when we saw it, it was like a home run for us.
Man. So when was, talking about, again, like that entrepreneurial mindset where like you have to dig deep and know deep down, like this is what I want to do and I'm going to see it through. Were there ever any times early on when you were working and probably 100+ hours a week trying to get this started on top of having a full-time job where you were getting burned out and a little frustrated and a little...
That's a popular question, but I to be completely transparent, like I never got to that point. Like it was hard work, man. Everyone, in my opinion, in today's world, everyone thinks the entrepreneur field is so sexy and the thing to do, and you're just going to make millions and millions of dollars is so easy. You better love what you do. You better be solving a problem. You better have the passion, the work ethic, because there was a lot of sacrifice. So, I mean, I was working 10, 11, 12 hours a day at the hotel, sometimes 6 days a week. But then I was like just trained to because I wanted it so bad to work at our first office space and even at home, because we started to have a spare bedroom, till 1:30, 2 in the morning, living off Red Bulls, living off limited sleep. And it was like, that's not what I'm recommending, but that's what it took to get started. Because those first couple of years, we didn't have anything. We didn't take $1 out of the business. We were just continue to put it back in, celebrate the small wins. So it's a lot of hard work for at least our journey. I know everyone has their own path, but you better freaking love what you're trying to accomplish and do. It better not be just about like, oh, I want to be, put entrepreneur in my bio, right? Because it's hard, and you got to figure things out as you go.
I mean, you see so many people on social media who are just like driven by, like financially free. I'll have all the money in the world, the cars, like that's not what it's about at all.
Yeah. I mean,
like,
if you can get to that point, kudos to you. And there's a lot of successful people out there. And I think that's the beauty about, I guess the positive thing, even, getting out of this pandemic and people kind of resetting their lives and realizing what's like my motivation, what's my purpose, like what's going to get me out of bed and excited. So I think it's really cool that people are going for things that they never thought they would go for. Like the opportunities are endless now with all the resources out there on YouTube and just connections and stuff. So, but I think it's very important for people to realize, and that's what we really focused on through our entrepreneur speaker series through our foundation term put on last year, is like, you better like be solving a problem and loving what you do, because it's just so much sacrifice that goes into starting anything.
There's so many things that happen that you, like you said, like you have to troubleshoot probably almost every single day.
Yeah. I mean, and even quickly, the beginning years, you even reflect on a example of like, oh, Channel 3 wants us to do advertising, like, oh, we made it, but it's like, then you spend that money and you're like, oh my God, that was a waste, that in our situation, right? You get prime example of like, you have to go through things to realize what works well for your business and whatnot. So, or what works really well, and hey, let's focus our efforts on that.
Do you think that, because like you said, every single day you learn something new, like 10 years from now, you're going to think everything that you've done to this point sucks probably, right? At least that's the hope.
That's how
right?
my mindset is.
That's the hope, because at that point you're getting better.
Yep.
Having 15 years worth of experience, in hotel management, hospitality, like were you ready when you guys started to interact with potential partners and clients, sponsors, everything like that?
Oh yeah, I mean that's where I feel huge strength of myself is, you know, being the CEO and co-founder at State 48 is people, right? Taking care of people, treating people the right way, leading. Like everyone wants to work and everyone wants to work with people who they like and they trust, and that's what's so fun about our business, how it's evolved, and getting to work with all these great organizations and schools and athletes and, you know, amazing nonprofits and all around just like if you're a good people and you can add value to someone, like it's a lot of common sense, right? But that's one thing that I take a lot of pride in is treating people right. And like even if we're wrong or we make mistakes, like we're gonna treat people the way they should be, and like create those memorable experiences. And that's why we have a good reputation over 9 years.
What would you say was like your first big win as a business?
Yeah, I love that. Always have, like, it's really funny to reflect because Bruce Arians, which like former Cardinals head coach, was our first big win, and they're like family today. And to expand on that, you know, when our first like collaboration we really ever did was pitching BA some design ideas, which ended up being like their foundation logo today. We did a silhouette of BA. The Cardinals had a ton of success. That was like 2 years into business. You know, BA was that cool uncle in the family, and they didn't care about, you know, trying to take advantage of us and charging us a ridiculous amount of money to be a partner. It was like, hey, we're going to sell this shirt. $5 per shirt goes back to Arian's Family Foundation, which helped neglected children. He didn't need that money, but we were helping create awareness. He was new to the Valley. You know, we added value to them. They brought in tremendous value to us. You know, Jake Arians, the president of their foundation, the son of BA, still lives in Chandler, is a great friend of mine. So that's what I get most excited about. And like when I get to reflect on the journey and realize what I do every day, it's like you get to like work with people you love and like and all that kind of stuff. So that success with BA gave us a lot of credibility. Then the Diamondbacks took notice. We started working with the Diamondbacks, became corporate partners. You know, then the Suns, it's kind of just like a spiral effect. Then we get to work with Phoenix Children's Hospital, and like then got to expand more out of sports and work with organizations. And ultimately, our brand, we want to be that recognized brand of Arizona by promoting all love, right? So like when people see that and feel it and know it's no BS, like they want to be attached to that. So that's why we continue to evolve and grow. And it's so much more than just, hey, selling cool products on our website, which is probably much more talented people in the world than us. But like, we really care about giving back to our community, and that's what we always want people to know.
I mean, it was like that domino effect. Like once you've developed that first great relationship, word spread like a wildfire almost.
Yeah, and there's so much work that led up to that point, right? And we were hustling. We were at First Fridays before it was cool. I mean, we were selling at apartments. We were on the Tavern on Mill Avenue doing a launch party. Like anywhere that would allow us to sell we were selling out of our spare bedroom at my house, like making shirts out of our house. Like there was the grind, and it still is a grind today, but it just gets, you know, easier because you have more resources and more team members and more capital and all that good stuff, right? But yeah, it's a lot of sacrifice that it took to get to that point. And I'm a strong believer that it's all about who you know in life, right? And relationships are everything. Like we went through Phoenix Fashion Week, which is actually, you know, interview here with Brian Hill, and it was more about teaching you the business of fashion. That was really new to us. And then through that experience, we became friends with Brian Hill, executive director of Phoenix Fashion Week, who had a connection with Jake Arians, and that's how we had the opportunity to pitch that design. So if that all didn't like turn out like it did, then who knows where we'd be today. But everyone needs that first shot, and then when you get that, like, do you capitalize on it? Do you know, add value? Do you create a good reputation for yourself? And that's kind of why, you know, we've been successful.
I mean, that was probably like the turning point for you guys. Were you anxious as hell, you know, pitching that idea?
Oh, it was so exciting. And also, like, you just didn't know what to expect, too. But, like, it all, like, in my opinion, too, sports ignites a community more than anything, right? And, like, and the Cardinals had so much success. Like, that became, like, the Cardinal it was, like, perfect timing. Everyone needed a Cardinals T-shirt, something different. So now we were selling a bunch of those shirts. We were creating awareness and funds for a great cause with supporting neglected children with a bad upbringing, right? So, like, that's what kind of created the structure of collaborations in our mission of, like, just wanting to do more in our hometown.
What do you think is something that you guys want to make moving forward? Because obviously, like hats, sweatshirts, T-shirts, like, is there any other type of product that you want to put out that you guys haven't worked on yet?
That's a great question, and we always are trying new things, and we take a lot of pride in listening to our community and obviously going off of what sells, right? But we've expanded the product line, joggers, biker shorts, flags, accessories, all kinds of random stuff. But what sells the most for us always is t-shirts. Hats do probably the second best. But so we try not to, as hard as it can be sometimes. Oh, let's do this, let's do that, and you always hear great ideas. Like we know who we are, and it's just really it's focusing on t-shirts. So I think that's important to be like, hey, we'll focus on the core that brings in the revenue, and that's really t-shirts and hats.
Do you have like one particular client that you've worked with that was kind of either fun to work with, inspiring to work with, or just kind of just like touched on your heartstrings a little bit? Like it was definitely like a cool.
Yeah, there's so many too. I mean, even just recently working with Special Olympics Arizona, and they invited me out to go for the Open to a putting challenge and working with those athletes. Like that's what it's all about. And then when you're like, those are what really tug at your heart. Phoenix Children's Hospital, Dignity Health. I mean, there's so many incredible organizations that I can't name all right now that really just like make it all like it's so much more special. We just hosted a partner event back in January for anyone who collaborated with us, and having 200 plus people that actually came in person. There was so many more that weren't able to make it, and they're thanking us for like working with them and adding value and making custom shirts, and like that goes a long way of like, oh wow, like you're spending your hard-earned money with us, but you're also thanking us for like what we do and what we stand for. So there's so many examples. We could talk about that all day of like the great people and organizations we get to work with.
I mean, I saw those pictures that you posted at the Open that week.
Yeah.
And that stuff's awesome, man.
Oh yeah. Amy was amazing. Like it's just so cool. And then that's what like you try to like make sure the whole team understands. Like I know that, right? But like getting more of our team out at events and understanding like, hey, everything you're doing, there's certain things that might be tedious part of designers creating collaboration designs and seeing that main logo over and over and over again. But like you're creating something special for a different organization, or fulfillment, making sure like that first order to get someone, that's their first impression of the brand, right? So there's like so many pieces of the entire business, and we're all equally important, but like getting them out and about and like seeing the difference that we're making and now creating a foundation, like it's really cool.
Do you feel that you had more pressure early on? Because you talked about like obviously starting out, you didn't necessarily have the resources, the capital, outsourcing stuff to other people, and you also had to make a name for yourself. Like you had to capitalize on all of those opportunities that you got early on. Or is there more pressure now that you have a reputation, people know who you guys are, and obviously now you have all of those resources?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's a balance of both, right? Because at the beginning it's so much pressure, and it's like it's so hard to like you just have to go and do like a million different things, right? When especially when there was just the three of us that started, we were great at like utilizing our connections and leveraging our friendships and connections that were also passionate about helping us get started. It was just really hard at the beginning, but now I would say it's even more pressure, especially on myself, or like stress of like, even though it's I guess easier because you have more great people helping you, but now like you continue to grow. My mindset's is always like, what's the next 10 things we have to do, because we can't become complacent. It becomes harder and harder to continue to grow. We were talking earlier about challenges of social media. Like there's all these challenges that always come up, but like at the end of the day, you work hard and have the right people around you, it works out. But I just think like, ultimately having that responsibility of an entire team, like that is a lot of pressure and stress to make sure like everyone's always continuing to want to get better.
Oh, absolutely. Do you think that you'd even like social media if you weren't a business owner?
Yeah, I think I'm very, that is kind of like my thing. Like I that's my favorite part about my role is like meeting people and getting out and just, I think the world needs more laughter, right? Like, and I think we all could focus on the negative stuff of like what social is, but we wouldn't be here today without social media. So there's so much positive you could take out of social media and things like that. Now, sure, it gets addicting and there's some challenges there, but like, I'm always grateful for any, tool or person or anyone that's helped us get to this point.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a double-edged sword. 'Cause like you see sometimes people, using it in a business mindset, right?
Yeah.
Like just connecting with people. Everybody's able to help each other out, whether it's with their brands or, social appearances. And then there's other people that just are on it like 10 hours a week.
Yeah. I saw the other day, and I shared this with the team, is like, I think they said there was a fact from like a Harvard source that was like 70% of a team member's day is like, on social media. Like that's nuts, right? Like, especially if you talk about trying to be more efficient and productive, and now more people working remote, like, it just creates more and more challenges.
Do you find yourself more You find it easier to find more employees that are buying into what you're doing, like kind of having that same like set your soul on fire type mentality of like this is what we're doing, as opposed to starting out bringing in people and maybe just didn't pan out.
Yeah, and I take pride in that. I think I am. That is a strength of mine to find the right person. I think for me too, like anyone, what I think is a cool story about State 48 is really anyone on our team now has some type of tie, right? Like, like knowing one of our first team members, Janice, who's an incredible human. She was my brother's ex-girlfriend, and she was in the PR industry, and she now leads up our PR efforts. But I already knew what kind of person she was. I already knew her work ethic. Like I knew her skill set. So there's always like a lot of examples like that, of like, yes, this person can vouch for this person, or like I know this person firsthand, or like that's what's cool about a small business, with a team of 15. Which is not anything, too big, right? Where it's like you could be, strategic and selective on like who you're bringing on, and I think if you were to ever make the wrong mistake, you got to make sure you quickly, fix that. But yeah, all our team has some type of ties to myself or connection.
I feel like that's like the perfect amount of people though. Like 10 years from now, if you have 300 employees, like what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Are you even going to meet all of them?
That's the thing. Like, and I just finished some one-on-ones, which I like to do, like formal, informal, one-on-ones every couple months. And even with everyone, like that's a lot of time that goes into it of preparation and like spending that hour of like hearing any comments or feedbacks or suggestions or concerns or whatever. Like, but yeah, I that's what I love about our small business is I do want to be involved with everyone and see everyone and talk to everyone. So although my mindset's always like, all right, how can we get bigger and bigger and bigger? It also is like sometimes you got to ask yourself, do you need to? Like, are you happy where you're at now? It's okay to have a successful business, but maybe, anyway, yeah, it could be that much more challenging if you got that many more team members.
I mean, how do you kind of balance that though? Because again, like you are doing something you're insanely passionate about, and at the same time, in order to do it, you do got to create revenue. And I feel like if you love what you're doing, it'll come, and it obviously has come for you guys. But kind of like take me back maybe 5 to 9 years ago, I guess. Kind of learning the ways of how to do that and do it balanced.
Yeah, and I would say at the beginning we did it the wrong way, and that's why I'm so passionate about starting our foundation of supports aspiring entrepreneurs. Is like, hey, we're no experts in it, but like, hey, let's utilize our whole network to bring in practical tips and ideas and connections and whatever it might be to help people start off, right? Because the first couple of years we didn't have an operating agreement between myself and my partners. We didn't have distinguished roles. We were I remember us arguing about like what social media post was going to go while we're all working full-time jobs. It was just such a waste of time at the beginning. So like for us, like, and for me, I had to go through that to realize what not to do in order to really take it to the next level. But yeah, I mean, I don't change it. I wouldn't change it for anything of like doing it how we did it. But now who knows where we'd be today if we had the tips and the connections and the mentors and the capital and stuff we have today, right? But I don't know if I don't know. It's just always fun to reflect on
the time when you guys were starting, like you said, you're like, we did it the wrong way. But at the time, did you feel that way, or you guys were just starting something out?
You kind of know, like, hey, this is dumb. But like again, you don't know what you don't know, right? Or it's just like you're so limited on time. Like we kind of like, and when you're younger too, like this is a totally different stage in my life where like I'm not as like stubborn or competitive, like to like, oh, I want it to be my way and not your way, right? Like that's the reality too. So you're young and just figuring things out. So yeah, that's how our story was developed.
What was the toughest thing that you and some of your partners had to go through when it came to decision making?
Yeah, I love that question. So it originally started off with Stefan, Nick, and I. Stefan and Nick were brothers. Stefan and I grew up together. My dad was a T-ball coach.
Wow.
Never thought we'd been in business together. We were both in the hotel industry. He knew what I was trying to do, living with me at the time. He thought of the name, and then we went into business together. But throughout that time, our friendship went away, right? It's so hard to work with friends and family, and so that's definitely a piece of advice I would recommend is making sure people know who you're getting into business to. And it's not like he's a bad guy or I'm a bad guy. Just our business relationship did not work out. So for many years, we both had that animosity towards each other, frustration that kind of always built up. And then it took finally to the point of like having that tough conversation of like, hey, we need to do something different. He didn't want to do this forever. I did. So ultimately ended up, split parting ways, and we've so much better. We're so much better friends now. And but like, it was scary for those years of like, not like being scared to have that, that tough conversation or have that confrontation of like, hey, I don't want you to be a part of this. And it's nothing personal. It's just business. Right. And that's hard to separate a lot of times. So, and he had a lot of, problems with myself too. And we just didn't work well together, and he didn't ultimately want to do this forever. And now it worked out so much better for himself, myself, and the business. But that was definitely the hardest decision to make, or to even, you knew it had to get done, but just actually having that conversation. I remember there was for years, and probably he felt the same way, of like complaining about her, like deep down, I'm like, this conversation needs to happen, but you're just like scared, or you don't have a capital to make that a reality, or things like that. So there was a variety of like reasons why it took so long to have that conversation, but that was definitely the toughest.
Like, it was frustrating. You guys had animosity towards each other, but you guys still cared deeply about each other enough to where it was like awkward to have that conversation.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we always made it work, right? We at the end of the day, you could have your differences, but like we all had the respect of each other, and that's why we continue to grow. And it's, looking back at it too, like, we wouldn't be where we're at today if Nick didn't have his mindset or his interest or styles, and same with Stefan and same with myself. We're three completely different people, right? So you kind of need that when you're creating a brand that represents everyone, right? So having the different opinions and ideas worked out well for us, but that was really tough.
What do you specifically look for when you are bringing on new people? Like, what type of mindset are you looking for? Obviously, like the exact job description that's available, but at the same time, their whole mission and vision for what their long-term plan is with the company.
Yeah, great question. I mean, I would say what's relevant now is we're looking for a store manager for our Gilbert location, and what that would look like is someone with actual retail experience. I'm a big fan of Lululemon brand and of what they stand for, and like their development and all that. So, but anyone coming on board, like, you better love Arizona. You better like have that same kind of like interest of like wanting more in your life than just, just a 9 to 5. And like, what I mean by that is like, our mission is to do more than just sell t-shirts and hats. Hopefully you want to be involved with our foundation and be at our community events and just be a good person. Like, it's, just have fun with customers, and especially in that role, like someone who can lead someone, but also like, hey, people want to enjoy being around who they work with, right? So it's really not, thankfully we don't have to look for brain surgeons or anything like that. It's like, in this specific role though, and our culture has always got to be fun, love AZ, obviously it's some pretty easy things to, some pretty easy soft skills, but you quickly realize right off the bat if in interviews or get to know someone if that's the right fit or not.
Would you ever work with like, if the opportunity was right and like the brand was big enough, work with an organization outside of Arizona, given it's so Arizona, like
yeah,
you said,
I mean, we have
Arizona?
Actually. I mean, like Papa John's, for example, like locally, but then they also have location in Denver. And so like, that's a big vision for State 482, is almost like a franchise model of supporting other passionate, not in no way do I want to go create, clothing for any California, but like, if there's a passionate person in California that's trying to do what we're doing, but if we could provide the infrastructure of design team and marketing and all that, where, hey, we know how it was to get started, and you don't have those skill sets or the option or opportunities to go to hire someone at the wage they deserve, right? So if we could provide infrastructure for other passionate people in other states, like, we feel like there's something there, and we've already had conversations with others. But we're so content and happy with like just making a difference in Arizona, because we still have so much room to improve, and there's so many people in Arizona that have no idea who we are too.
I mean, is there like an exact thing? Like, obviously you guys are looking to grow every single day, but is there like an exact like dream thing that you'd want to do for the brand?
Yeah, it's a great. I mean, we're getting towards that point. And one thing we're working on the foundation side is acquiring a State 48 license plate, which is it was a vision many years ago, and now it's getting closer to become a reality. But realizing how much in financial investment and time goes into that, because it will benefit our nonprofit. But that would be a major win for the brand if we can do that, and just opening more doors throughout the valley. And where people can experience like who we are and being closer to, hey, we have a location in Gilbert, Chandler, Phoenix, the West Side, Scottsdale. So that's kind of the big picture. But it's just, again, if we want people, when they come to Arizona or they're in Arizona, they think of State 48 as anything apparel. Like we want to be, we're working towards it being that one-stop shop for apparel in Arizona, because we can offer screen print embroidery services. We can create custom designs for you. We can sell you retail designs that represent Arizona. So we're getting to a point where we can offer everything for anyone in Arizona, apparel-wise.
I'm curious, what was the biggest investment that you guys made financially that didn't have the ROI that you were intending?
Yeah, so our first couple of years with the Diamondbacks, when we became corporate partners, we invested way more than we could handle. And I'm so grateful that we went through that, because like I'm proud not only did we make it work, but we just realized, and that's a prime example of like you got to go through things to realize, hey, there's no disrespect to the Diamondbacks if that investment doesn't make sense, but for our brand, okay, let's tweak it. And we developed a great relationship with them where let's get it to a number that it's comfortable for us, that we see that return and that you're also happy, right? So we still have a partnership with the Diamondbacks, and that's a great example of like, because our first 2 years with them, we did 20,000 t-shirt giveaways, and you quickly realize that as cool as that is, and it's just really, really tough to measure a return on that. And that's like big pockets kind of thing where you need to, so that was definitely our biggest investment, and really proud that we got through it and got to a point where it now mutually beneficial on the long-term situation.
What's like the number one thing that you still are looking to learn more about today?
Oh, great question. I'd say like a goal of ours too is eventually, getting cut and sew where we can do our own polos, our own stuff like that. That's a whole nother world. And I've learned more and more from it, from, friends in the business that do that. But like, with the supply chain challenges now, like we try to keep it as simple as possible. We're graphic tees. We can buy our blanks today in the Valley, we can get them tomorrow kind of deal. We make that easy. But I would say, kind of that cut and sew world is a major opportunity, and even retail in general, like know how to treat people, but just like now working through like a whole build out, that's going to be a, significant investment, and working with having friends and connections to be able to help you who have experienced that. Like that's a whole nother world, just like having the right contractor and like the build out, like that's a beast.
Do you think you're finally at a point where like you're able to talk and connect with anybody, at least on just like a human level, of just like having a conversation, being like, oh, I like Mike, like I definitely like to work with him? Like, are you an introvert, outrovert? Like, is it easy for you?
Yeah, for me, like, I really take a lot of pride in just like, being a good dude, right? And like, I think I could always relate to anyone, no matter what your interests are or what age you are, or you're in, like whatever it is. So that is something I take a lot of pride in. That's what a big part of our reputation is, like, oh yeah, and that's what's really cool is like everyone always had the interaction with me for so long, and now like having Chloe lead up our partnerships, and like seeing her like run with stuff for like creative, like doing their thing and talking, and sometimes like I don't even know what we're working on collaborations, right? Like that's like really something I take a lot of pride in, because even though it's hard for me to like let go a little bit, like now you're trusting the people that know what the heck they're doing and capable of it, and obviously too, like offsetting like your weaknesses or opportunities, right? Like it's really cool to not be as involved, but still,
it's your baby, right?
Yeah.
It's tough to kind of let go and be like, I trust you, but like, let's see, like, do you ever look at things like all the time, I'm sure, of like, that's a great idea, like that's a great design, that's great, but like I would have done it a little bit differently, but like I'll let you roll with it?
Oh yeah, no, it's funny. Like creative, like we have our like respectful battles. I mean, we have our creative meeting every Wednesday, and even doing one-on-ones, like, some of that real feedback was like, Mike, I feel like some of our new ideas that we're going to try to venture off, like you're kind of against or being negative towards. And it's like, no, like all great, like you could have the greatest ideas in the world. That's nothing personal if it doesn't make sense for our brand to roll out, right? So like we struggle with that of like, hey, we want to implement, kind of more outside the box, or not just use the main logo all the time. But like at the end of the day, when we try those things and they don't sell as well, we need to be focused on like what is selling well. So we kind of have like created this rule of like 80% of our efforts need to go on stuff that like know is going to sell wise, especially design wise.
Right.
But then like 20%, hey, let's sprinkle in new stuff. Let's attract new audience, because it's important not to become complacent and continue to attract younger audience and be relevant, right? We don't want to die off. So yeah, I always have opinions on design and such, but like definitely try to let everyone in their roles kind of flourish and do their own thing. And I love that more than anything, is being able to have the right person on, train them right, and then run with it. Like I would love to be less involved in everyone's role. So
I mean, it'll be very interesting to see where you guys are like 5-10 years from now, not only like design wise or where the world's going to be on a technological level. Like you guys could be in the NFT game for all we know.
Yeah, no, it's nuts. And that's like one thing way over my head too, but learning more and more about. But I feel like we could always relate to something like that, even when Instagram first came out. Oh, no one's going to do it. Like you always have to be on top of that kind of stuff. And that's why we're really creating a legit organization that's sustainable and not just focused on, because I know every brand has kind of a lifespan, right? So like hopefully we are more than that, where we can last forever. But if not, like we've set ourselves up to be one-stop shop for apparel. And I said that earlier. It's like we could do screen print and embroidery services for you. We doesn't have to be state for you. We can create custom designs for you. That's our field, right? So like we are creating a legit organization. We have a foundation that supports entrepreneurs. Like there's so many pieces to our business that allows us to be sustainable and not have all our eggs in one basket.
What do you think is what time is it? Yeah, we got like 5 minutes here. What do you think's the coolest opportunity that you've gotten that you didn't think you were going to get when you started? Like whether it's like just like going to Footprint Center, hanging out with the Suns and doing all this stuff.
So many incredible experiences. I would say the first thing that sticks out to me is we have a freaking credit card with 1AZ Credit Union. Like that's amazing, right? We get to They are an incredible partner that's allowing us to get in front of new demographics, and we now have a royalty off of anyone who spends money or acquires a State 48 1AZ credit card, right? So like was a major accomplishment, and that took years of creating a good reputation and them wanting to associate with us, because that's a big risk for them too, right? But so many great experiences, even like Luis Gonzalez, being a friend now, we get to partner with him on a shirt that supports, first responders in Arizona. Like, it's just like all these great opportunities come from just being good people and making, and just wanting to be around, like just support our hometown. And I think people, it's very clear to everyone who knows us that that's what we're all about. So the connections that obviously we worked hard for, all these opportunities come more and more the more you're out and about in the community too.
I mean, that's why I said, like, I have friends who are go-getters. I have friends who are just complete introverts. I'm like, get out there, get out of your comfort zone, meet more people. You never know where the conversation is going to go. You never know where the story is going to go. You never know who you're going to run into or what the hell you're going to be doing.
That's so true. Yeah, and everyone has their different roles. I mean, we have designers that might have no desire to be, and that's fine, right? But I think always challenging everyone to step outside their comfort zone, even just finding a common interest in someone and having that conversation, which be much more challenging for an introvert than someone else. But I would even share like a cool story is that one of our first events we would do at Junk in the Trunk, which was in Westworld, when we were first hustling and doing every events possible. When we first got into the airport, and that was a huge win for us. The buyer approached, did their homework and came and checked us out first, and even mentioned that after. It was like, hey, I want to make sure we're working with people that, if you don't know who I am, are you going to treat me that same way? So they kind of did their homework on us, and we developed that relationship all from Junk in the Trunk, and got to meet her at that point, and she kind of won her over, and we did a lot of business together. So you just never know who you're going to meet, and everyone knows someone, right, Sue? So if you're like an a-hole to this person, they're like, oh, don't work with Mike. But it's the complete opposite for us of even if we screw up or if we make more mistakes, or we're going to make it right. And we always want to, reputation is everything we can control.
Well, I've enjoyed talking to you this past hour. I know you got to go pretty soon, but let me know if you want anything promoted on our end, because I've loved the brand for the past few years since I've been out in Arizona. Again, grew up in Jersey. I've been out here for about 6 years, going to GCU. Saw an interview you did. I think it was Kate Longworth at one of the GCU basketball games.
When we first
that was the first time I actually was like, oh, wow, this this apparel company. That's really cool.
Yeah, and that's a big part. I mean, we're licensed with ASU, U of A, or U Arizona, GCU, NEU now. So that's a big part of like collaborating with other organizations of Valley. But and GCU got something special going on. But that was when we first launched our partnership with them and wore the co-branded shirts on air and talked at the basketball game. But that buzz at those basketball games are insane.
It's like you and Frankie Muniz. You guys are like the public figures that show up.
We actually just talked because he has a racing company now. And we're talking about, and he's supporting our foundation too and wants to get involved. So yeah, I mean, and Zach Hall, the president of our foundation, is a great friend of mine. That all started from him being the mascot at the Diamondbacks, and now he was great friends with Frankie, and just everyone knows someone. And it's like, if you're a good person, like people are going to want you to see you win, and they're going to connect you with the right people. So that's what we just take a lot of pride in.
Those are 3 great backstories right there.
Yeah, I mean, we could tell stories for like forever, which is so fun.
That's awesome. And so where can the people find it? Is it state48.com?
Yeah, and that's all spelled out. We never use the number 48. We're not associated with the brewery if anyone ever gets us confused. But yeah, state48.com has all the information about our foundation, all our services, all our designs, social channels, everything.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. And again, let me know if you need anything from me. I love the organization, would love to collaborate on some stuff. But here are a few of the T-shirts that we got today because Mike is such a standout guy. Brought some T-shirts with us. How many different types of, because you talked about like the broideries, like polyester, cotton.
Yeah, so I mean, we typically use a cotton poly blend, which people love because it's just a nice thin T-shirt, but it fits well. For most popular shirt we sell as a men's crew, obviously. But yeah, cotton poly blends are very important to us. We use a lot of tri-blends now, but we have over 200 plus products at any given time online, and we're always just continuing to evolve. And people love that main logo, so we continue to put it on different color combinations and variations.
Well, let's get you out of here so you can continue to grow, all right? This was episode 494 of the podcast, I believe. We're presented by Mayweather Boxing and Fitness, guys. Go sign up for your membership now. Head on over to state48.com for more information. Zach, hit the lights, man.